Welcome to the Determined Mom Show, the only marketing podcast dedicated to guiding mom CEOs into tranquility, wealth, and multiplying those precious moments.
Welcome to this episode of the Determined Mom Show. I am your host, Amanda Tento, and I have with me the lovely Gabriela G. Valdez. And we're going to talk today about how to incorporate a podcast to grow your business. And welcome, Gabriela.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. So you are not normally on this side of the microphone, which is cool because you are a podcast editor and a podcast manager, I should say. And it's an interesting flip. And I love it because you can give us all the details of the behind the mic stuff and how we can really use this to grow our businesses. But before we get started, I would love to hear about you and your background and how in the world you became a podcast manager.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I am really excited about that too, because like you said, I'm usually not on this side. But so, how I started, I am a psychologist, made podcast manager, because in 2020, I saw that I had the opportunity to create my own story, like many other people did, and live on my terms. So I was really sick and tired of exchanging my time for money. And also because I had the feeling that my true potential was wasted. And I knew I could do more and I could impact people other than my coworkers and the people I worked with and for. So I was also very tired of asking for permission. I live in Austria, but I am Mexican. So I didn't want to ask for permission. Oh, can I have my holidays? And hope that they would get granted to go see my family. So I took a leap of faith and I employed myself and I thought, okay, what do I love? I love being around women. I thrive among women and I really like to create connections and I love podcasts. So I thought, why not? Let's do that. And here I am. Now I work exclusively with women and I help them launch and grow their podcast and reach a lot of people all over the world while they're spreading the message and making money out of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, congratulations on finding a new passion, creating it for yourself. I love that. I think 2020, I'm so grateful for 2020 as we look back on it and as, it evolves and we're getting back to a new normal and all of these things. But I'm so grateful for the eye-opening experience that it provided for so many millions of people. Not only people that didn't like their job, but maybe even employers that have seen things could be different and maybe we need to shift things and maybe we need to change things. So I just love your story and I love that you have taken that and transformed your life into something that works for you and you can see your family. Hello. That's great.
Exactly. Yes. I'm so grateful for that too. Those were difficult years. 2020 and 2021 were really difficult for a lot of us, but also full of opportunities. And I like that I am helping other people to do or follow a similar path, not a similar path, their own path, but following the same dream that I followed, like making your own reality or, yes, creating and living what you really want to live.
I love it. Awesome. So your job, your business, I should say, is you really focus on helping life and spirituality coaches and therapists to create a podcast and then grow that podcast. We may or may not have a lot of them listening. I know that there are quite a few coaches and therapists that do listen to the podcast, but there's also going to be a lot of other business owners. So let's talk about how we can use a podcast to grow like any type of business. I know you have some really great insight into that because that's what you help people with.
Yes. So, regardless of what you do or what you sell, chances are you could make a podcast and a successful podcast because any podcast deserves as much success as any top rated show out there. So there is a podcast where they read one word from the dictionary per episode. So if they can find people who are interested in that, any business can find among the almost 500 million podcast listeners, they can find a bunch that are interested in, I don't know, from life coaching to landscaping and even types of coffee. So there is a beauty in podcasting. And I think there's a lot of things that are beautiful about podcasting, but the main thing I consider important is the community that you build around your podcast, because it's a very intimate channel. If anybody goes on Google and they type in, why should I start a podcast for my business? They will find, because it helps you build authority. And that is absolutely true. You are talking about all the things you are an expert on. And it's like proof that you know your craft. But for me, the key is the sense of community and the connection, because like I said, it's a very intimate channel. So there is a survey from Sprout Social, that they found out that 57% of the consumers will increase their spending with a brand if they know the people behind the brand. And that is across all niches. It's not like, oh, only for coaches or only for therapists. It's across, like, all consumers. They took a bunch of consumers of all kinds and they asked them, what do you value the most? Connections, personal connections. And that is something you can use for your business, whatever your business is, the connection. And for me, it's more like a coffee chat with a friend or like a phone call. Basically, the people who are listening to you, they give you access to their life because they listen to you while they drive, and they listen to you while they're prepping the meals for the week or cleaning the house. And that means over a period of time, they will have this sense of, oh, I know this woman, I know this person, because she's everywhere when I'm doing whatever I'm doing, when I'm, I don't know, cleaning my house, she's there with me. And it is people, and not so much products and services, but people, what really helps you win a consumer, because they are people too, and they want to connect with you. So if you do it through a podcast, it's way more way stronger than if you do it on social media. It's a complement, but a podcast helps you make that very strong connection, and then they have the sense, oh, I know you. And also they are more likely to choose you over a competitor, or
Definitely.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with the word competitor, because maybe they are like over your neighbors.
Another option.
Neighbors. Exactly.
Another option.
Another option.
I totally agree with you. I've been listening to podcasts for, I feel like it's probably like 10 years. And when I started listening, it was when I would go to the gym all the time. And for me, that gym, and also on my way to work, I would get up and go to the gym at 5 a.m. And that 5 a.m. gym session, as long as nobody talked to me, this is a whole nother caveat to that whole thing. But if nobody talked to me, I could listen to my podcast. And then I also had in the car on the way to work to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
So these people that I listened to, and back then it was like Pat Flynn and Amy Porterfield and Jenna Kutcher and all of these people, they were in my life. They were a part of my life. And I never imagined myself being a podcaster because I didn't think I had anything to say. But then after I had something to say, I realized oh my gosh, people have to know about this and know about all these different things about marketing. And then as my passion evolved, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to share this with people because they need to know. It's just, they have to know these things. Just like what we're talking about today. I would feel bad having known you, having known your expertise, and everything you have to share with the world and then not sharing it with other people. It's just an interesting
Yes.
transition that we go through as we evolve in our businesses, and anyone can do it. So I think that's another
Yes.
important point to
Yes.
point out. Anyone can do it. You may need help. You may need community just to even start your podcast, but it is totally doable.
Yes, totally. And also, I see a lot of people think about too much about, oh, I need to buy a microphone and I need to make sure that I have the best software. That might be of help. You don't need any of that. You could have it, but you don't need any of that. You can start with what you have, and then just later on, you change the way you started. But you don't need any of that. What you need is the desire to share your message. And what I always say is, if you believe in your message, then that's all you need.
That is very true. That's so true. I record all of our guest episodes on Zoom because it has a decent audio quality and we can see each other, nonverbal communication, and it just is easy. It's already there. Like everybody has Zoom now, so it's not,
We all
there's
use
no,
it.
exactly. There's no like
Yes.
barrier to entry, like your guest has to go and download a certain something or other or anything like that. It's super simple.
Yes. And I have known of people who just start a podcast. Maybe they didn't even plan to start a podcast, but one day they thought, oh, I have to record this because it's going to take too long to write. And they recorded it. And then from there, they thought, wait, this could be a podcast. And they did it. So, what you need is just to dare to take that first step, and then you'll be on your way.
Yes. And also don't worry about how it sounds in the beginning. If you listen to the first episode or the first probably 10 episodes of this podcast, I'm literally probably like reading from a paper or something like that. So do not go back and criticize because it happens. Everything you do, you're going to get better at it. You're going to evolve and it's just going to get better.
And it can even be the proof of how much you've grown. It can be like the track record of your growth. This is where I started, and then I don't know, 6 months from now, this is where I am. And I think it is beautiful because you literally have proof of how much you've grown from the moment you start a podcast to, I don't know, any other point of your journey.
Definitely. So what are some other, you already shared with us that community, that intimacy. What are some other ways that we can use this podcast to grow our business?
Oh, I think this is where it gets interesting for all of you listening because a podcast can be the perfect way to be seen as an authority, and it can even be the first step towards an omni channel because one piece of content, when you start a show, you will have to spend some time thinking about your episodes and what are you going to talk about, what do you want to share, and if you're going to have guests, who is going to be in your episodes. And you are going to have one big piece of content per episode. And then that will give you plenty of opportunities for repurposing. And then you can take that episode and from a transcript, you make a blog post. And you could also upload that episode to YouTube. And you can get the highlights of the episode. And then you make an audiogram or a videogram and you share them as a reel or a story or on TikTok. And you can also make several posts from them and even posts with quotes that people usually save and share. And then you have from one episode that you planned and produced, you get so much value and you have so much value to offer to the people who you are talking to, wherever they are. and they find you through social media and they come to your podcast, or maybe they find you, then maybe they find your podcast and then they go to social media and you're there. And there's so much for them to binge listen and to scroll through. And that means they are already closer to you. And there is so much value for them that chances are they are going to choose you to get a service or a product. And they're also probably going to become loyal customers. They are going to be, yes, I'm yours. Take my money, because they know you. And whatever they are, they found you there because of this big piece of content with so many opportunities for repurposing.
I recently had my own experience with it, blew my own mind, honestly, with content repurposing. D. Scott Smith is going to be, we recorded an episode with him, and he is an Amazon publishing expert. And he's been encouraging me for a couple years now, since I've known him, to write books. And I'm like, I know, I will. And he said, you already have the content. And I'm like, I know, it's there, whatever.
Right.
So like I finally, after our pre-call, actually went through and looked at all the episodes that I've done on Google Business Profile or Google My Business. And I also looked through like some of the webinars that I've done, some of the workshops, some of all of these things. And I have enough content now for 10 different Amazon books. Like, it's crazy. So I just transcribed them, put them into Google Docs, and each one of them is like 30, 40 pages long. So it's crazy.
Yes, it is crazy but amazing, because all that work now gets to be repurposed, and it reaches more people. And to me, it serves its purpose. It's the content that you have created, it's living its life fully.
It's almost getting a new life in a different format, because I know I have a lot of friends that don't listen to podcasts just because of like audio issue. Like everybody has
Yeah.
some neurodivergence of some sort, and they may not like audio. They don't like listening to videos or watching videos or listening to podcasts or anything like that. They want to be in a quiet room reading. But this is bringing that same content and that same messaging to a whole different audience. But I did it because I had the podcast, and that wouldn't have happened any other way.
Yes, exactly. That is one of the advantages of creating content for a show, because then you get to give it a new life, like you said.
So how can we take these two amazing aspects and marry them together to increase our income?
Okay.
The intimacy, the content, and then what can we do to get that to work together?
Okay. So I think there are two different type of approaches. One, if you already have a community, and the second would be if you don't have a community yet. So if you have a community and there's some people interested in what you say in some or all of your platforms, you will use your podcast so you will launch your podcast and you will tell the people who are following you, hey, I have a new show, come and follow me, listen to it, share. And you are going to continue to give them value there on the pod. And at the same time, you are going to take the opportunity to sell them with a lot of love and with meaning, to sell them what you offer right there on the pod. And if you are having, say, you have a course, and then you can make an episode about the topics you are talking about in your course, or you can have a few moments, say 30 seconds, at the given point of an episode, like an ad, like a PSA. Hey, I'm interrupting this episode to let you know that I have this course where I teach you more in depth what we're talking about right now, for example. Now, if you don't have a following, that might be a little more difficult to do in the beginning, because in order for people to buy something from you, from the podcast, then you need to be reaching people. So if you are very new and you are just starting, what you are going to do is to focus on the content that you are going to create. And here, this might be even more interesting because you have a lot of options. So you are going to select your content pillars and you are going to create content around it and you are going to build your community. And having more content and having different formats will make it easier for you to get followers, or not followers, to get an audience that is interested in what you do, in your products and services, and even brands. Because when a podcast is new, you have a lot of opportunities to invite a brand and grow your podcast through the brand, but still, so you are leveraging from that brand's following, but also you are giving them a space where they can showcase their products and services. And you might think, oh, but I'm a very small podcast. If I'm just starting, if you have very nice, in podcasting is called one sheet, but it's like a media kit. If you have a very nice media kit and you have your story, your brand story on point, and you have your goals well crafted, and you are able to present them to a brand. For example, you offer a course, let's say a gardening course or a digital marketing course. I think it's more according to this podcast, say a digital marketing course. And then you partner with a copywriting company. And then if they like your story, it doesn't really matter if your podcast is starting. If they know, oh, this person is invested and she has her heart in it, they might go and buy, for example, an ad for you or even sponsor an episode. And then this will help you reach more people and get more followers, and not only followers, but people who are interested. And from there, as you keep growing, you will be able to showcase your own products and services, and people will buy from you. They will. I have seen it a lot, and you do not need to have 30,000 downloads per episode per month to make sales from your podcast. What you need is to have a strategy in place and be really consistent. Because just think about it, if you have 200 downloads per month, even if one person buys from you, that is one sale that you're making out of 200 downloads. So now imagine, as you grow, how much money can you make from it if one day you reach 10,000 downloads?
That makes complete sense. And I love how you broke that down. Can have 200 listeners and you can still make money, but then just multiply that by however many listeners you're anticipating getting. I love it.
Yes. And also, it's very important to consider that podcasting is a long-term game, but it is a very profitable one. You can see it's very fruitful when you really commit to it and when you are consistent. So it is long term, but if you really commit to it, it will work out.
I agree. I agree completely. Thank you so much, Gabriela, for being here and for sharing all of your expertise and knowledge with us. Where is the best place for our listeners to get in contact with you?
Oh, I am old school. I love Facebook groups. So I am very active on Facebook. I actually just started my business Instagram account. So I'm also on Instagram. And lately I am very active there because, like I said, I just started. I get to be there if I want to see it grow. But so Instagram or Facebook. I love Facebook. I'm old
Okay.
school.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and sharing everything with us. And we will have links to get in contact with Gabriela in the show notes.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's face it, piecing together a marketing plan with the things you hear, watch, or read online, while tempting, is never a good idea. The truth is, people don't search on social media for your services, and even if they do, they will still be going to Google to check your ratings. By not having a cohesive, proven marketing system, you are leaking clients and customers through giant holes in your customer acquisition bucket. Let's talk about what else isn't working. Posting tirelessly on social media, tracking followers as a business metric for success, paying for ineffective marketing, buying glossy ads in coupon magazines, spending time replying to comments, paying others to manage your social media with no actual sales coming in. So what is going to work? Having a proven marketing system in place will plug every hole in your bucket and allow you to begin to fill up with new customers and to also retain and nurture your current ones. Go to tdm-marketing/6-marketing-musts and download our free guide to 6 marketing musts guaranteed to get you more customers.